कहते हैं कीचड़ में कमल खिलता है. That's how we will start this podcast because that's the description for the Three Body Narrative podcast. We are the Kamal in the Kicha, and I suppose that's one of the reviews that people have left on our Instagram page. And
The reason why you can't see the third member of 3BN is probably he's fallen into the kitchen right now. So he's not
correct.
visible.
And so we are here to discuss everything pop culture, movies, TV shows, games, you name it. And for today's episode, we're going to be reviewing Adarsh Baal Vidyalaya. So, what is this TV show all about? Well, it is a light-hearted comedy drama set in a struggling government school in Delhi. It follows a laid back principal and a group of teachers as they try to bring positive change to the school despite limited resources, unruly students, and everyday challenges. Cool. So we will start with our ratings for this particular TV show. And I am student number one on the roll list. So I'm going to give my rating first. And I'm going to give this show a 3.5 out of 5, which is quite high coming from me with regards to anything Bollywood. But I think some part of it is because of how pleasantly surprised I was as to how much I liked the show. When Naeem did recommend this, I was obviously filled with a lot of dread, right? I was like, oh my God, what is this? Like, you asking me to watch a 7 episode series called Adarsh Baal Vidyalaya, and I'd seen a clip, obviously, and it was a clip which showed the most slapstick side of this show, and I was dreading it even more. But I was pleasantly surprised because I think the one thing I really liked about this show is that yes, it had some very slapstick, extravagant Bollywood moments, but that was, I think, well balanced amongst actually good humor, right? And really sensible humor across this show. This could have been really, really over the top, really slapstick, could have really, set everything over the top and gone, typical Delhi. But no, I think it really kept things slightly grounded. I did like the sort of grounded elements, the fact that there was maybe, yes, there is a moral story being told here. Yeah. And while maybe some might be thinking that, it may not be the right place to, or it's how many of these TV shows keep giving you moral advice. But I kind of like this one because most of it is true as to what happens nowadays in schools and especially government schools. I do kind of like the politics also that was intermixed with this, which was quite fun. So yeah, I love that there was a good balance between good humor and good comedy, slapstick comedy, which was not too much, which I really appreciated, and I think good wholesome moments that you had with like teachers and the students, and even parents and the students, like teachers who were parents as well to kids there. I think the cast did a great job. I love the fact that there weren't too many big names out here, except for even KK Menon. Yes, of course, he's been a veteran in the industry, but I like the fact that he comes in these kind of roles, and I think it perfectly suited it. I was scared when I read the name Archana Puran Singh because I only know her laughs, and her laughs are stuck with me throughout. But I'm pleasantly again. I liked her role in this. It was quite nice. So yeah, overall a 3.5, a good watch. I think I probably recommend it to people. I think it could have been much worse, and I'm glad it wasn't.
Cool. So I'm up next. Yeah.
You're the only one there. You're
I,
obviously up
yeah.
next.
I mean, yeah. Sorry. That is absolutely true. But anyway, getting to the point, I would give this a show. Give this show a 4 out of 5. It's
Yeah.
a very, very solid TV series. I was very, very surprised um, about how much I ended up liking the show. Um, just like I kind of, like Praddy mentioned, I referred the show to him, but I came across this uh, on the viral reels that were happening, and I just caught sight of this classroom chaos that's happening, and there were a couple of viva questions that were flying, and I just felt
Yeah.
like I could relate
So I saw that. I saw that, and
some
I
of
was
those.
filled with dread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like, yeah, obviously, because you were the smarter from the smarter side of
Yeah.
this thing.
Sure.
So I felt like there was a part of me that could relate with what the students were giving,
Yeah.
not to the extreme end, but to certain bits I could kind of relate, and I really loved how kind of made me laugh out loud. And when I kind of like watched the first episode, what caught my eye the most, leaving out the fun side of it, was how the political aspect of it was having a direct impact on the education as well, and how that was being used for ultimately selfish personal gains, and like how that is kind of like a um overarching
Yeah.
arcing overarching, yeah,
Arching.
overarching theme in this season, right? And I absolutely love the show because of that. Like, you come in for the comedy and you kind of have a very, very solid fun time, but while all of that is happening, there are some like serious issues being
Yeah.
discussed, whether that is your underage work that's taking place in terms of like kids working when they're not supposed to be working, they're supposed to be focusing on their study, uh, kids taking up the wrong idols
Yeah.
in terms of who they should look up to, and even things in terms of how some people, even though they might have the right intentions, their motivations might be very selfish as well, which is the kind of the story you see with the headmaster, and how it almost trips him into kind of making some really, really extreme selfish choices. And that was like brilliant to see, right? Like how far people are willing to go for their own benefit, as compared to, because you see parts of this very same person sacrificing a lot in terms of personal gains to help make things better for the greater community, and then eventually towards the end almost get on the, oh no, like, I've done enough, now it's time for me to kind of get
Yeah.
something out of this. So yeah, brilliant storytelling. I love the flow of the series. Like, I it's 7 episodes and it's approximately 30 minutes each, maybe 30, 35, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, what I would say is it just breezes by. And you can, even if you have gone to like these fancy private schools or whatever it is, there are moments in these in this series where you'll connect with whether what the teacher is trying to do or what the students are up to. There is some part of you that will connect, definitely connect with this whole this thing, and that's where probably the fun lies. But even if none of that really appeals to you, you will want to kind of stay for the more serious themes that this series deals with. And I love how they kind of managed to balance that so
Yeah.
well, in terms of keeping the comedy there, but never letting it overpower the real story that's being told. And because the moments where that story really shine through, you kind of really feel the pinch
Hmm.
in more ways than one. And yeah, like, I absolutely hope this is a series that gets renewed for a next season, and I'm hoping that they can keep building on what they've created, because obviously it's a definite cliffhanger where they leave things at.
Yeah.
And interested to say how very, very excited to see where it all leads.
Correct.
So yeah.
Nice. Good, good. So anything in particular that you want to discuss? I think let's talk about the politics, because I think that was
Yeah.
hilarious, and I mean it is obvious. I think obviously it's not something that we can relate to, since we've been in those kind of situations, but it's stuff that you see, right? It's very very obvious when politics comes into play. And yeah, it's hilarious how, I mean, it's not hilarious, it's also scary to see how much of an effect it has um,
Yeah,
on the lives.
especially from the budget thing, right? That's not something you kind of see on the private schools, and you don't see it to the extent of this. Obviously, it's a very different way both those organizations are handled, and in this, it kind of really shines through in terms of how ill-equipped the school is in terms of what they're receiving. Even in the most simplest of things, that they request for two teachers and a blackboard, and they get one teacher
Whiteboard.
who is actually specialized in one certain subject, but then because of the shortfall is then said, oh, she will make do and she will teach the other
or
subject to which.
or even the water filter or the water,
Exactly.
this
Yeah,
thing,
like the
right? So
basic amenities are
yeah,
not there, and like all of that, like even the most simplest of things, right? Like yeah, we want to focus on the politics, but also like in terms of the systems that are in place,
yeah,
like the the check-in for the teachers, how that is being misused. It's absolutely insane in terms of how, and I'm sure like in a lot of the institutions,
yeah. I mean,
not.
so I mean, proxies are. I not seen it done by teachers, but obviously by students, of course. Um,
Yeah.
and but you're right. I think they, even in the humor, there were serious questions to be asked about, and serious topics being raised about the current education system in the country. And yeah, I can understand both sides of it, especially like, you're talking about underage working, right? But you hear the parents saying that they, even at the current education that they're getting, which is in 10th grade, they're making double of what I am, right? And you're like,
Four times what I am.
four times, yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I kind of understand where you're coming. I mean, obviously the the situation, the the what do I call it? Yeah, I guess
It's not an easy life they're living, right? So they
exactly.
have to
Yeah,
make like very difficult choices in terms of, yes, education means better future, but the future is still far away, right? For
yeah,
them, it is about day to day living, and
yeah,
right now, as things stand, it just makes more sense for them to kind of let the kids do, earn, and help the family out, and use that experience to kind of build from there, because they think that even as the world evolves, uh, they will continue to earn at that pace. But I mean, if anything at all that this world will tell you is that it it evolves so much so quickly that you kind of really need to keep upping your game in terms of not just academics but the skills generally that you
yeah.
hold, right? So um
But yeah, I think that was one topic. Then obviously I like the topic about the uh was it the northeastern guy,
who was the northeastern guy?
the Hakka noodle kid.
Oh yeah, absolutely love that. Yeah. That
Where
in
was he
itself,
from?
right?
He was from northeast of India, or was it?
I think so. Assam.
Yeah, yeah, I
I
think so.
think
Yeah,
I mean, if I'm not wrong, I think it is Assam. So I'm not
right.
sure if I'm absolutely accurate there, but I think it is Assam.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, the that whole concept of what what he himself deems to be successful, versus what success could actually mean, right? Like it doesn't necessarily mean one specific thing. It doesn't mean it could be anything that the series in itself tells you, that for someone who's come from nothing to then reach
yeah,
that whatever position he's
I
reached
mean, I guess
by.
reputation in that city, the status that he's achieved in that city, right? It may not
Exactly.
be
Yeah.
much, but like everyone in that city knows him. He's renowned for his food and stuff like that. So I like the
Yeah.
fact that it was a discussion about you know you don't need to be an engineer, you don't need to be a doctor, you don't need to be a
Yeah, and you don't need to define success depending on how others perceive it.
yeah.
Everyone's success is different. It has to be done on your own level. Like
And
judge it on
everybody
that
and
basis.
everybody is has a different skill set, right? Imagine him having to be a doctor. He'd be such a bad doctor, right? Like everyone recommends good doctors, he'd be the one doctor that you would never recommend given his
Yeah,
studying.
yeah,
uh
and that's brilliant to see, like how the kids kind of also how they deal with like how parents perceive the first thing to be an addiction for kids. Like immediately there is a misconception that our kids are down to no good kind of a thing,
yeah.
and that's how that's kind of like flipped around and said no, they're not up to. It's nothing like off. They're actually doing something really good or having a good time while benefiting someone's
Yeah.
potential career if he can progress in that. So that's pretty cool to see from that aspect. I think it's the little things that you kind of see in the teachers versus the system. The teacher, the new Kanchan ma'am or
Kanchan, yeah. Kanchan,
Kanchan,
yeah.
yeah, like her constant this thing that she does not want to be like the other teachers, and the trouble she faces when she tries to be this new kind of a teacher, right? Without
New
the
age,
punishment, with
new
being
age
too
teaching
free with the kids.
methodologies and
Yeah,
like no
yeah,
yelling,
and
no.
you see that in itself, just being that modern teacher does not really work unless you've got it. It's only she can get the class in control when you've got that stern. When they realize that the stern teacher is
But
across from the hall.
also when you earn their trust and their this thing, right? Like it comes to a point where they, yeah, stern helps. And at that point, initially the sternness helps, but also later it's like when they rely on you or when they know that you're there for their good, I guess that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
you earn their
It's a
trust and then it becomes
exactly, yeah, over time. Like when
yeah.
they basically understand that you do really mean good for them,
Yeah.
and it basically like for them to kind of grow, they do need to guide, kind of get going in terms of their education, at least in terms of getting the basics right, right? And that's beautiful to see. What I also liked was dealing with some of the more um I don't want to call them issues, but this the way people perceive you for doing certain thing, right? Like for instance, that stern man or the stern teacher that's there in who's supposed to be like this macho or whatever.
Man,
And
I had no clue he was Chandrachud Singh's brother. Like, damn,
yeah,
but yeah.
yeah.
I was like,
Um,
damn, that's a throwback.
the thing is like that the thing that this kid holds against him, like initially I'm like, what is it that this person is
Mm.
hiding, right? And then it just turns out that he applies spoiler by the way, he applies henna at weddings, which is like pretty awesome in terms of him being able to kind of do all
Yeah,
those kind of designs and stuff. But the way it's looked at and how it's perceived and how that also comes
right at the end.
as a, yeah, like a very important part right at the end, right? Like how it's kind of thrown at him,
Yeah,
and how it's shown kind of like a disrespectful way at the end to insult him. um all of that was brilliant for me to see, like in terms of how you perceive things, how the small things are like blown out of proportion for no reason whatsoever. It's the kids are doing it is a whole other thing, but the fact that some of the people with authority are doing it is a whole other ball game altogether.
yeah,
So things like that was pretty cool to see. Obviously we have to see how they deal with it in the seasons to come if it does get renewed.
yeah.
uh
I also like the was it Mukul and obviously his daughter, right? Uh,
yeah, the social, who's supposed to be an NGO thing or
so yeah,
whatever, right? Like
the
he's brought
career
in for that.
counselor or whatever,
Career
right? The
counselor.
school
Yeah, yeah,
counselor.
yeah, yeah.
I like the obviously that story is about dealing with grief and growing up from that, which was
Yeah, yeah.
it's pretty nice. I think that they just couldn't find a find an actor for the new love interest for him, so they were like, "Oh, we'll keep that as season two. It gives us time to find someone." But initially, I was a little like surprised that they were going the other route when they go to
Oh
the
yeah.
rooftop. And I was like, oh,
Yeah, yeah. I
interesting.
was like, wow, that's quite like that
Different.
wasn't what I thought it was leading, right? Like it
Yeah,
was very different.
exactly. Yeah.
See. But I also like that they kind of flipped it immediately and then did it another way, right? Because then it's like the girl was so cool with that whole conversation, which is
Yeah.
awesome to see. And then it's like there is another issue out of it, the fact that he didn't trust her enough to deal with the actual issue that she had. Instead, he's trying to sort out what
Yeah.
he thinks is her issue,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. Right? So that was really nice to see as well. Like in terms of the flip, like you think it's obvious now, but it's not.
Yeah.
That was quite chaotic in the sense
I,
of how it
I like the dot. I especially like the part where the bicycle gets gifted to the wrong
oh yeah,
guy.
the Londe.
Like, what the fuck?
हमें लौंडे चाहिए like that's so funny. They're like
Yeah.
they're just mimicking anything or they're just repeating whatever she's
Yeah.
told them to say and not to like to the point where they've not understood what it is, and
Yeah.
that's a problem with this thing as well, right? Like that took me back to school days where it's like you basically just you mug up everything and
Yeah.
then you kind of go and like toss it out, right? Like without actually understanding the concept. Because
Yeah.
unfortunately, in the way the like back in when we were in the 90s or the early 2000s or whatever, the focus I felt more was on how much can you mug up and remember and like spew it
Yeah.
out,
So
as
it's just,
opposed to
yeah.
actually understanding concept,
Correct. So
which is I think something that became inherently clear towards the end of our schooling years, where I was like, if as a kid I understood the concept better, then as you kind of moved up, it would be easier to delve with the more complex problems or
I felt
issues.
that, like, yeah, I felt also like for us it was, if you didn't mug up and spew it out there, you're probably losing out marks than if you wrote this, just the concept, right? So it was more
Yeah,
like
that also is
how
a
much can you write, how much, it was quantity more than actually like the right
absolutely like
concept,
yeah.
which has changed now, thankfully,
Yeah,
a
which
lot
is
more.
why you needed things like photosynthesis. This is my favorite kind of synthesis. It's like you give
Uh,
the actual definition
oh,
and then you start adding bits and
I
pieces.
burst out laughing when we first met that Kutan and he did that, the thing Aarti around the teacher.
When he said K3G and then he said Kuttan Kumar whatever,
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god, insane,
yeah. So,
crazy.
yeah, I think those were fun bits. I mean, that English teacher is so idiotic. The the one, he is so
Yeah.
so idiotic.
Oh
Uh,
my god,
so
the one
I
who
like the
gets
mix.
the
I like the
influencer in, right?
Yeah, I like the mix of teachers who actually care and know things. So you have like Mukul or Kanchan and even the stern teacher as well, right? But you also have like
There's this one thing you have to talk about though,
what?
which is they bring in the guy who's supposed to inspire, who's supposed to
Uh,
pass out from Adarsh Bal Vidyalaya. And they're like, I know the guy, the Chandrachur Singh's brother. He's like, I know this guy from somewhere.
the debt
Yeah,
pendant
he's
or
supposed
whatever.
to be from the pyramid scheme thing, and that was absolutely insane. I was like, oh my god, that is so crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah, that
and
was funny. That was a funny
yeah, that was
this thing.
fun. I also love the part where, of course, they're dealing with that entire thing of the kid getting married to this Haddi Tod
Haddi Toad gang leader. He's the leader
leader.
of Haddi.
And I thought that was serious. Then of course it had a comedy effect. I love the fact when
Yeah.
they went, but I love the fact when they go to the house and Kanchan is like, "Don't you want to get a job?" And she look, and he's looking at the poster and on the frames, and it's the wife who's actually the doctorate, and like she's got the MBBS, she's buying the bike, all of that. I'm like, oh, bro, don't shut up. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I like that you've got a mix of that, and then you've got the mix of like the not so great teachers, or even the headmaster. You've got the English teacher, even the sort of biology teacher is a bit like, she knows, but she's also very shy. Uh,
That also is like something that you would go back to school days, I would think. Like in our this thing, it was not so openly. It was like as a child, at least you knew people were like all joking around when that
but
whole
but not the teachers in and of itself. So the kids,
No,
yes,
the
but
kids,
the
yeah.
teacher wasn't very like. I didn't think any of our teachers were very shy and was like
So
very.
I think different experiences, right? Because I think you first explored this what in grade eighth or ninth, or was
No,
it
biology.
earlier?
Biology is much earlier, man. Like
This is
sixth,
six,
fifth,
grade
sixth.
six.
Yeah, fifth, sixth. We were already talking
Yeah,
about.
I feel like that set of lesson was always kept because I think fifth or sixth I was still in India, like for my
Hmm.
education. So I think it was kept like to the tail end of it, as opposed to when it actually comes in the books in itself.
Hmm.
And that's saying a lot because I was from an ICSE school at the time, so it's like even then the specific teacher or professor teacher decided to kind of plug it
Bypass
in
that.
right at the
I
end.
get that. Yeah.
Yeah, bypass it in that moment when it actually comes in the textbook, but you kind of come back right at the tail end to cover
Yeah.
because they need to cover kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe because obviously like I don't know, like maybe the exposure at
Yeah,
that
but
point.
also like yeah, possibly that. But yeah, I think so. So that was fun. I think overall, yeah, those are my thoughts on the show. I think overall, yeah, I liked it. I'm just a little as I hope they continue with this in the seasons to come. I wonder where it goes from here. There's obviously, I think now. So you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like the paper
uh,
show. So you've got like a lot of like misfits as in that
yeah,
list, and
yeah,
then you've got obviously the big boss who's Archana Puran Singh, I think. Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then you've got the bad guy or something in like as in the politician. So they've got like things to take
The
care of.
sponsor is basically the politician who's kind of
Yeah,
pulled his sponsorship by
and
the end of.
I love the fact that he wanted to rewrite history just for votes as well.
Oh,
Ganju Army.
that
Like,
was insane. That was
man.
absolutely insane. And I also liked how they kind of displayed how if you feed the wrong information to the kids at the wrong time,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
how insane the repercussions of that will be in the immediate future
Yeah.
in itself, right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of like very it seems very subtle, but it's such a very strong
It's
message
a
coming
powerful
across
one,
that
man. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a powerful message that comes across. So
So
yeah,
yeah, so I'm intrigued to know. I hope the obviously now that the kids have moved on, they're still there. I mean, it's only 10th grade, right? So they still got 11th, 12th. So I'm guessing they'll still be part of the school if they start to
I
have
hope so
11th,
because
12th.
yeah,
They don't
in
have.
certain
Yes.
schools, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But
it
if it's like you've given 3 years or something, and if you have had a certain number of pass rate, then they allow you to go one
go
additional
higher.
grade and
Okay.
stuff, right? So I'm hoping that
Yeah.
in this case also they'll be allowed to have a first pew or whatever they call it in this
Yeah.
11th or whatever,
Yeah,
and
and
take it from
but
there.
I just hope it doesn't become a political battle per se, like a
Mm.
major political. That's
I
my only
still want
worry.
it to be
Yeah,
very. It
school.
should be balanced out. Like you
Yeah,
still deal with these big issues, but you kind of like don't forget the thing that made this what it is,
yeah.
kind of a thing, right? Like that balance needs to be there.
Cool. So I guess that's gonna be our short and sweet review of Adarsh Bal Vidyalaya. Like we said, I think this is a show that some anyone who's interested in good comedy, moral messages, and yeah, it doesn't take too much of your time as well. Like 7 episodes, half an hour each. It's like watching the Odyssey, but now broken up in 7 parts. So I think overall, yeah, I think it's a good sleeper hit. I didn't hear much in terms of the promotions and stuff like that. So it was a quite under the radar watch and something that you should go
Yeah, it's
give a
only
beat.
been making the rounds since it's come out. So you've got bits and pieces of that, like Brad's mentioned, are slapstick comedy, and
Yeah.
those have like stood out, and people have picked up and kind of
But I
made it
think
viral.
that's it should you shouldn't go off that because that's not what
That's
the
what I'm
show is
saying, right?
about.
Like
Yeah.
the so I'll give you a very good example. If you do that, there is a high chance you might end up with movies like Gunda.
Yeah.
If you just look at
Yeah.
slapstick, that's how bad it could
Yeah.
be if you
Yeah.
go on that,
So
right?
that was my dread that I'm gonna listen to just really bad jokes and it's gonna be Delhi crude humor, stuff like that. But my God, I'm glad that I gave it a watch and then so should you. But until then, don't forget to hit the like button, share with friends and family. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, wherever we are, and we'll catch you all on our next episode. We'll probably dig Aaron back up from the mud, and then we'll have the 3BNB back whole once again. Until then, you take care. See you.